Welcome to Thoughtful Planning, the place where real conversation, expert insight, and a touch of humor meet to turn our end-of-life uncertainties into self-assurance. I'm your co-host Santiago, a history buff and a big kid at heart.
And I'm Honey, your guide through the intricate dance of planning with care and a whole lot of warmth. Every week, we're here to turn those intimidating "are we ready" moments into confident "everything is under control" moments. Today's journey is one you won't want to miss. Hi, welcome to Thoughtful Planning. I'm Honey.
And I'm Santiago. As always, before we begin, please note that we're not doctors, we're not legal professionals. We're just fellow travelers along this planning cycle, and the information that we're sharing in this episode is just for educational purposes and should not be considered legal or medical advice. Always consult with professionals for decisions related to your own health and your end-of-life planning.
All right, so this episode is actually a continuation from the prior episode, which was Season 2, Episode 31, about advanced care directives. And in much of today's information, it's going to be coming from websites like Compassion and Choices, the Conversation Project, DementiaDirective.org, Texas Health and Human Services, and the National Resource Center on Psychiatric Advanced Directives, and I'll include all those links in the show notes. All right, so during my death doula class, I learned about psychiatric and dementia directives. I never even had heard of them before, and these documents are less known but vital for specific situations. So you'll want to check with your lawyer and healthcare provider for your state and the forms for your state as well.
Like we always do, let's start with an essential question for you to think about. So what steps can you take today to plan for a future where dementia or mental health challenges may affect your ability to make decisions?
All right, we're going to start with the Psychiatric Advanced Directives. A Psychiatric Advanced Directive document lists preferences for mental health treatment and allows you to appoint a health proxy. These are created when you're well and used if you're incapacitated during a mental health crisis.
This is called a Declaration for Mental Health Treatment, a DMHT. It documents symptoms, medications, treatment preferences, and emergency instructions for your healthcare providers. It must be notarized and witnessed by two people, and it's probably the same as anything else. It can't be in your will or beneficiaries or anything like that. It remains valid for 3 years unless you're incapacitated, and at that point, it stays in place. And it can be revoked if you're not deemed incapacitated, or until after you're not deemed incapacitated. For non-Texas residents, the National Resource Center on Psychiatric Advanced Directives, the NRCPAD website, provides resources by states. Like other advanced directives, you should keep copies in places that are accessible to your proxies and share them with your advocates, your healthcare providers, and your mental health professionals.
Right, and what I think is really important about the Psychiatric Advanced Care Directive is, I've heard about people that have gone through something like that before, and that could be very scary. And so you might, eventually they probably find a medication that works for you. And so on this document, it gives you the opportunity to list your medications, list maybe the medications that don't work for you too. Maybe, maybe it causes you nausea or really bad headaches or anything like that. And you're this way, wherever you end up when you're in this emergency situation, the healthcare professionals would be aware of, the kind of medication to give you or not give you. All right, so now let's talk about the dementia directives. So according to Compassion and Choices, 1 in 3 Americans will be diagnosed with dementia. This progressive disease gradually robs individuals of their cognitive and physical abilities, leading to dependency on others. Dementia can take 5 to 20 years to progress, eventually ending in death from complications like pneumonia.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when you think about it, 1 in 3.
Yeah.
So planning ahead, like with anything else, can ease the burden on your loved ones, because that's really why we're taking this journey, is to ease the sufferings on our loved ones. A dementia directive is available at dementia-directive.org, and it allows you to outline your care preferences in mild, moderate, or severe stages of dementia. Unlike standard advanced directives, these are specific to dementia care and should be completed before your cognitive impairment really begins or worsens from the state that you're in currently.
Although it's not legally binding, dementia directives guide loved ones in making decisions consistent with your wishes. So talk openly with your family or advocate to ensure clarity. Then for someone who has already been diagnosed with dementia, there's a conversation starter guide called The Guide for Caregivers of People with Alzheimer's or Other Dementias. This can be found at theconversationproject.org. Now, Compassion and Choices offers an interactive tool with videos. It's available in English and Spanish. So you can go to their website and fill their form out as well. And you can just see which one you prefer. I think a lot of these documents, they give you a lot of ideas of what to think about when dementia comes. Hopefully they get a cure at some point for this disease. Now, in addition, in our last episode, we talked about the Critical Conditions Planning Guide by the Emory Center for Ethics. And that guide is from Georgia. And it really dives into situations or different scenarios to help you think through, like, what would you do? So I'm going to, like in the last episode, I read an example. I'm going to read an example for this episode as well, just to for clarity or for an idea. So Catherine is in her late 70s. For the past 10 years, she has slowly lost her ability to take care of herself because she has an incurable brain illness known as Alzheimer's disease, sometimes called Oldtimer's disease. Physically, she is in good health and is not in any pain, but Catherine no longer recognizes her family and friends and cannot carry on a conversation. She spends her days either sitting and staring into space or roaming aimlessly around the nursing home where she lives. Catherine has come down with pneumonia. If she is given medicine, Catherine will recover from the pneumonia. If her pneumonia is not treated, Catherine will die. And then it provides some discussion questions to go along with this. I'll just read you one. If you were in Catherine's condition, would you want to be given medicine to treat the pneumonia? I'll have a link to this guide so you can use it to work through some of these scenarios for yourself along with your family.
While she was reading that, I was looking at the document that we had talked about earlier, the Dementia Directive, and I was looking at the stages, because in this directive it lists 3 stages: the mild, what's the second one? Moderate, and then severe. And that's where I think Catherine falls into severe. And we were talking before we came on, and where we would want to be treated, and it's got the 3 blocks. The first one says to live as long as I can. If you had severe dementia, what would your goals for care be? To live as long as you can, to receive treatment to prolong my life, but still have that DNR, or do not resuscitate, do not incubate order in place, or do you want to just receive comfort care? And I think that this, along with that, if your family members knew that, if I have mild dementia, I might want to receive some prolonged care. But if I'm in severe, I would want just comfort care. And I don't know if that's how you saw this, but looking at it, where would you want to be in this cycle in life as your dementia gets worse? So,
yeah, very good point. And then for the dementia directive, even though what we found was it says it's not legally binding. I would recommend you still go through these documents and you have these conversations and taking the next step, perhaps talking to your lawyer about how you can get this put into your advanced directives that we talked about the other day. And I know in the Texas one, there's a couple of blank spots where you can write things in on there. So I think in that situation, perhaps writing your wishes for if you were to get dementia. And again, you could talk to your lawyer and see how could we incorporate this form into your advanced care directives.
I think even if you don't do that, and this is just me talking, if I had this filled out or you had this filled out and I'm your health advocate, I could pull this out and say, okay, where is she on the dementia scale? Mild, medium, or large, you know. But, where does she fall? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And if she's stage 1, she said she wanted this. If she's stage 3, this is what she wants. Here's her signature. Here's everything. And this is what I'm using to guide my thoughts on what her wishes would be.
Right.
At least that's what I'm thinking. I would use if we had this filled out. If you had this filled out, hun, and you had signed it, I would follow this to the letter.
Right. I would sign it and have 2 witnesses and get it notarized. And then, I would hope that they would, let you follow this. I know in my class, actually, my teacher was talking about a patient where, like in the facilities, they have, like a memory care centers, something like that, in some of the facilities. And she talked about a guy who got out of his room somehow and ended up downstairs on like the main floor. And he picked up a chair and he broke all the glass that they had glass cases. She explained them. They were like, imagine like a trophy case, something like that, where there's plaques inside and trophies.
Yeah.
He picked up the chair and he broke all the glass. And then she said after that, they really had to put him in a room all by himself. And that's just really sad. So,
Yeah. So it's just, this is something I was looking at while you were reading that, and I was like, oh, she falls in stage 3. And what would she want if she were stage 3? And what would I want if I were stage 3? So let's go back and review your documents with your attorney, incorporate them into your advanced care planning. Choosing the right advocate is critical. For us, we've chosen each other, and then, one of our children that's closest to us would step in if we were both not able to make our own decisions. And we hope that they follow the instructions, even when it's emotionally challenging, especially if your child is your advocate. And if you're being chosen by someone, it's okay to decline if someone asks you to be their advocate if you don't think you're comfortable with doing that.
right, exactly. That's really a strong point my teacher said, is that she has her own kids and she doesn't think they would be strong enough. And actually, one of her kids said, "No, Mom, I can't do that." So she chose a friend to be her advocate because her friend said she would follow through on her choices.
That's tough.
Yeah, these conversations, like we've been talking about, the decisions, these are hard, but they're essential to have. And so planning while you're clear of mind ensures that your wishes are respected and they reduce stress for your loved ones.
Yeah, I tell you that these last 3 episodes that we've done, the conversations that we have been kind of hard, and what you guys don't see behind the scenes is us having these discussions and how we don't always see eye to eye. But I know that in the end, I would do what she wants as much as it would pain me. So before we wrap up, let's revisit that essential question. What steps can you take today to plan for your future where dementia or another mental health challenge may affect your ability to make those hard decisions?
Right. And I just want to say one more thing about the psychiatric directive. That is not really for everybody, right? That is someone that has a mental health condition. And sometimes you won't know until it happens, right? And so sometimes you have to go through this really hard storm. And that's how you figure out, the right medications that would apply to you and such. And then that's when I would definitely recommend Psychiatric Advanced Care Directive. So looking that up to find one for your state. So I just wanted to clear that up because we're not saying that everybody needs this directive, but we're just saying that if you may already know that you have a mental health condition,
or maybe it's a family trait, where dementia or Alzheimer is possibly in your future. Just to have it, just in case. I think that's okay.
Oh yeah, on the dementia one for sure. Our teachers just said it doesn't hurt to fill out the dementia one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was mainly talking about the psychiatric one.
Yeah, the dementia one is. I think this one is something that we need to fill out. At least I think I want to fill it out, even though I probably won't. I hope. Who knows?
Yeah, right? And hopefully there's a cure.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully they figure this one out.
Yep. So thank you for joining us. Check out the links in our show notes for more resources. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, please, and share this episode with someone who might benefit.
Yep. Well, I think everybody could benefit if you just know what you're doing and sit down and do it. But anywho, until next time, remember, every chapter you write today shapes your legacy tomorrow. Thank you for joining us at Thoughtful Planning.
And just like the vibrant hues of a setting sun, we're wrapping up another episode of Thoughtful Planning. Every shared story and insight is a step closer to turning uncertainty into celebrations of preparedness.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, remember that every surprise that comes our way is an opportunity to grow, adapt, and learn. Stay tuned for more stories, expert insight, and of course, a touch of wit in our next episode.
We're not just co-hosts, we're fellow travelers on this journey. For more information on additional resources, which will help you take the next step in planning, look for the link in the show notes for our membership. Join us next time for another episode of Thoughtful Planning. Until then, keep living, laughing, and loving every moment.